the same size. Carrots are going to take a little bit longer, obviously, because they're more dense. So, but we want everything to be about the same size. So it doesn't have to be perfect, especially in a soup like this, because we're just going to blend it up anyways, right? So no one has to see the imperfection of it. As long as they cook evenly, that's what really matters, right? By the way, don't ever do that. It's really bad for your knife blade. Like disclaimer. So we're going to get all this stuff broken down here. I don't know if anybody's ever taught you like basic knifing techniques. I basically taught myself, to be honest with you. You always want to guide with your knuckles, so that you should kind of bring your fingers back like this. Keep your fingertips basically out from underneath the knife blade, because obviously that would be bad. The other thing that you never really want to do is have a crowded board. So now that I'm done doing this, I'm going to remove it, because I don't want to be working on something else and have the carrots in my way. Okay. These, I think, are technically yams. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to be able to stand up here and tell you the actual definition that differentiates the two, but these are technically yams, not sweet potatoes. Now, I chose sweet potatoes for this because they are usually cheaper and therefore more cost effective. The nice thing about any type of potato is that it has starch in it, right? So you don't need to add thickener. So if you have someone who has a gluten allergy or something to that effect, you're not adding flour or anything like that. So it's just going to kind of thicken itself, okay? And that's kind of what I go for. I did price this out for you, actually. The sweet potatoes right now at, I'll say Walmart. It's harder to get things now because we're in the winter season. So Walmart are like 98 cents a pound. I'm recommending down here as a substitute, you could sub in like a butternut squash. Those are $1.28 a pound. So it's really up to you. Okay, guys? All right. Now, a lot of people don't know that during the summer, when you guys are at the farmer's market, say you get something like celery. Not a lot of people locally are growing celery, right? But you'll notice them selling it. The nice thing is that those people are usually using, first of all, you're using a local farmer to buy your celery versus going to like a big store, right, or a grocery store. The other thing is they usually use local providers. For example, I oftentimes will go to Roberto Fred for things, so right over here, right, in Dunkirk. The nice thing about Roberto Fred, him and I actually use the same produce provider. And that produce provider is actually owned by a father and son, and they are based out of Buffalo, New York, right? I get all of my tomatoes locally during the summer, but when I can't do that, I can go to Roberto or my local guys, and they get stuff in from like Lewiston, New York. So you're still looking at Western New York. You're still having a positive impact because you're shopping locally, you're staying local. All the transportation of getting a tomato from, like, let's say California, all that waste and fuel and all that, you're cutting all of that out. So if you go to the grocery store to buy something like ginger because you think, oh, I can't get this from a local farmer, that local farmer can't get that for you. And if they don't actually sell it in their stands, if you ask them, I know very few of them that wouldn't be willing to actually get it for you. Okay, so remember that when you're shopping, because it's very important to the local farmers. All right, so what we're going to end up doing is roasting our leeks and our sweet potatoes. Again, we're looking for uniformity in size. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to make, the reason why we want these to be uniform in size is because we want them to cook at the same time. So you don't want like a giant chunk like this and a little chunk like this going into the oven together, because they're obviously not going to cook at the same rate. Okay, so that's basically what you're going for. All right, so what we're going to do is we break down our leek, or our sweet potato, and then we take our leeks, and usually what I do, just so you know, is I drain them. A little different here right now. Am I doing okay so far? I didn't know I was going to get graded afterwards. She slipped those sheets in.
I'd like to say that the sweet potato is a great choice for people who are diabetic, type 2, because the sweet potato is lower on the glycemic index than the white potato.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So that's
you're
an
right.
extra benefit too
Yeah.
of your soup.
One of the reasons why I like to use carrots too, by the way, is not only because they're very high in beta carotene, as you know, they're good for your eyes, and but the other nice thing is they actually give color to your soup. So really, at the end, if you didn't put them in there, it might kind of look almost like a little mucky, kind of like a brownish orange color, and the carrots actually kind of help boost the. We all eat with our eyes, right? That's what they say first. So what I'm going to do actually is show you what I do here. Easier. I take these and I get them together, salt and pepper to taste, and yes, I do this at home too because the other way is annoying to me. I always keep one of those kind of pre-done for me. All right, so I do that. I'm going to do this, a little bit of oil. I'm going to just toss these around. What I do is I put these in the oven together and I roast them off. You're probably looking at, I'm also used to working in a convection oven, so I'm trying to translate this for you at home. What did I put on here? 350 to 375 you can do. You want to make sure that they're fork tender. And I say that very specifically. It's not knife tender. This is obviously a lot sharper than a fork, okay? So it's going to go through it whether it's done or not. That's what you want to watch for. In the end, this is what you have. All right? Anybody can see these? Anybody? Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do here is using my spatulas. All right. So.
Are they caramelized now?
They are
Can I take a
caramelized,
quick
yeah,
picture?
here.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys can see that. They're browning up.
Oh, how beautiful.
Now,
Let me take the flash off.
I caramelize mine a lot more than this. Like mine are dark brown by the time I'm done with this, and they're well reduced. Maybe over here. Let's see. All right, mine are normally well reduced. Like they're dark brown. Okay. The darker brown they become, the sweeter they're going to be. And like I said, I like mine to be very, very sweet.
That smells so nice.
That's.
David, how long do you roast your vegetables for?
What did I say? It's fork tender, and again, it's different in a convection oven, obviously. It happens quicker. I think in my convection oven, it usually takes me about a half hour, 45 minutes, depending on how much I have in there. Try to spread them out in one even layer. Don't have big heaping piles and stuff like that on there. If you heap a pile, it's basically like putting the whole chunk in there. All right, it's going to take longer for them to warm through and to cook and break down, okay? So,
So you're saying over an hour in the regular oven then?
it may or may not. I mean, honestly, it
Yeah,
depends on how
last
big
time
you
I
cube
did
them.
potatoes that were bigger than that, they only took me about
It might take
45
you like 20
minutes.
Yeah, 20 to 45
in the
minutes.
regular oven.
And it really depends on how high you keep your oven too. If you go too high, like if you hit 400, they're probably going to burn the onions before the sweet potatoes are done. So you just want to find the happy medium in your oven. My oven at home is not convection, but it cooks almost like a convection oven. It's pretty efficient. So, yeah. All right. Next step. I'm going to switch out. What I end up doing is I take my caramelized onions and my roasted leeks. And I put everything in one pan. Alright, that includes celery. Do you guys, I remember when I was first learning how to cook, when I was in college, basically, I used to take all the leaves off because I was like, ew, leaves are gross. Who wants to eat a leaf?
They're good for us now, I heard.
Right? That's where like all the flavor comes from. So if you're using celery seed, tons of flavor in celery seed. You don't usually need a whole lot of it, okay? Alright, so throw this in. Yeah. I'm not going to do all my carrots, but I will use them. I won't let them go to waste, don't worry. Alright, got a clove of garlic. I did forget my bay leaf, so you're not going to see me putting a bay leaf in. I'm actually known for doing that on the TV show too. Every single time I needed a bay leaf, I left it. I left it behind. That's that moment where you see me come back from a commercial break and I go, well, we were gone, I added a baby. Or like one time I showed up to the studio and I was making, what was I making?